What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bobby at watchreelflix, and today I have 4 of the most disgusting and disturbing films you will ever watch. Let's get into it. So let's talk about a movie that almost made me throw up, literally. This is ATROZ, directed by Lex Ortega from 2015. Now, when it comes to extreme horror, ATROZ does not tiptoe around the genre. This Mexican horror film is a deep and raw exploration of the dark side of human nature, told through a found footage style that drags you into this just fucked up and disturbing world. The story kicks off with a brutal car accident that involves 2 men, Goya and Gordo. The police arrest them, and they search the vehicle and stumble upon a video camera that has some of the most messed up shit you'll ever see. From there, the movie takes a deep dive into the twisted mind of these 2 men. I'm talking murder, torture, and just their sadistic behavior. Now let's talk about the story. It's basically a descent into human depravity. The structure is built around these recovered tapes, with each layer showing new levels of violence and trauma. So Goya is the ringleader, and through these sadistic tapes, you get to see how this man has no limits when it comes to torture and just these brutally violent crimes. So what's even darker is that these tapes give you a glimpse of Goya's upbringing, suggesting that his violent tendencies may be a result of past trauma, creating this bleak cycle of abuse. There's no real break from the grim atmosphere, and if you're someone who likes character development or story arcs, you will not find that here. The characters are just evil, and the story itself can feel repetitive after a while. You pretty much get to the point early on, you know these guys are just messed up beyond repair. Overall, ATROZ is not for the faint of heart. Next, we have The Golden Glove from 2019, directed by Faith Akin, and let me start by saying, this isn't your average movie night pick. This one's dark, really dark. And it's gritty in such a way that will leave you feeling like you need to take a shower afterwards. So this is based on a real life serial killer. The film follows Hunka, an alcoholic and just an overall sick individual who spends pretty much most of his days lurking around the bar called the Golden Glove. The story mainly revolves around Hunka's horrifying life as he picks up vulnerable women and takes them back to his dirty ass apartment and eventually murders them. And it's not a spoiler either, because the movie doesn't hold back on showing you from the get-go what kind of monster you're dealing with. You can almost smell the stale beer, the cigarette smoke, and just the overall filth that fills this dirty ass bar, the Golden Glove. And to be honest, there's no real light at the end of the tunnel in this film as well. So if you're looking for that, you're not going to find it. Hunka's victims are showcased in the most heartbreaking light. The Golden Glove is definitely not for everyone, but if you're into gritty, dark, and true crime stories, this may intrigue you a bit. But be warned, it is very, very brutal. This one is going to hit hard, and it's Trauma from 2017, directed by Lucio Rojas. You have 4 friends who are going on this girls trip to the Chilean countryside. They're just looking for some fun and relaxation, and that is almost shattered immediately. The idyllic setup quickly turns into a nightmare when they're confronted by a father-son duo, Juan and Mario, whose backstory is just messed up. You have this father and his damaged son who are shaped by their brutal past, tied to Chile's dictatorship, which gives the film this layer of grim social commentary. The film spends a good amount of time exploring the traumas of not just its victims, but also the perpetrators, giving it that raw and just unsettling edge. You'll find yourself squirming and questioning your limits on what's watchable. As far as the plot goes, the pacing is definitely intense, while the middle section gets a bit predictable because you know things are only going to get worse, and the ending definitely leaves an impact. This is another film not to expect a happy ending, and Trauma is definitely not for everyone. Let's just say, don't eat that box of pizza before you watch this. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer is one of those movies that will stick with you long after the credits roll, and not necessarily in a good way. While it might not be as gory as the others, it is definitely disturbing. This one is directed by John McNaughton, is gritty, and gives you a unflinching look at the life of Henry, who was a drifter with a very dark past. This one, sadly enough, is another one based on a true story, and Henry moves from place to place, leaving a trail of death in his footsteps. Hey, if you're looking for a feel-good horror flick, you might as well cut this one off because it isn't it. Henry's not a mastermind or even deranged in a theatrical sense. What makes Henry so disturbing is his ordinaries. He could be the person passing you by on your way to the bus stop. The film emphasizes the randomness in his storytelling, showing you snapshots of the violence without delving too deep into the whys. Henry picks up a partner in crime, Otis, and his character really adds to the unsettling atmosphere in this film. The two form a mutual friendship based on their enjoyment for killing. The crazy thing about it is that Otis starts off as a tag-along and then becomes twisted as Henry, which raises the stakes and tension even higher in this film. And then you have Otis's sister Becky, who enters the picture injecting a brief glimmer of normalcy, but look, don't get too comfortable because like the others, there is no redemption. The movie doesn't shy away from the violence, but what's more unnerving is the way it presents itself. There's no flashy effects or over-the-top gore. Instead, the murders are depicted in this documentary type style. This shit is brutal, but the lack of sensationalism makes the violence feel that much more real, like you're witnessing something that could actually happen in real life. In terms of character development, Henry remains somewhat of an enigma throughout the movie. We get hints of his traumatic past, but McNaughton doesn't spoon feed us an explanation on why his behavior is the way it is. In my opinion, this makes the character even more chilling. There's no deep dive into his psyche or no long-winded backstory to make you sympathize on why he's committing these heinous acts. He simply exists in society as a fucking monster, and that is terrifying to know that there are people out here that are like Henry that exist, and it could be your next door neighbor. Look, it's your boy Bobby at watchreelflix. Make sure you give me a like. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to throw me into the YouTube algorithm. I'm going to keep dropping videos for you guys, and stay tuned for the next one.